Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of the Your Relationship With podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Snow. I'm on a mission to help women build businesses that they love in a way that is simpler, faster, and way more fun than anything you've been doing before, through connecting and building authentic relationships. And that's where this podcast comes in. This podcast is all about various relationships that you have in your business. It's designed to help you take a look at those relationships and see where your strengths are, where you still need to tweak, and where you might need some extra support. I'm super excited about this first episode because we're talking about your relationship with fun. And I think fun is something that's not talked about enough in business. So often we think, I'll have fun when I get there. I'll have fun when I'm making 6, 7, 8 figures. But my first guest, Meghann Conter, is here to tell you that having fun is actually super important to growing your way to that 6, 7, 8 figure business. So let me tell you a little bit about Meghann. Meghann Conter uses her power to connect, elevate, and celebrate exceptional women. As the CEO of The Dames, a global community designed specifically for women leading 6, 7, and 8-figure businesses and women in mid to high-level leadership positions in large organizations, Meghann believes that anything can be accomplished through fearless collaboration, laughter, fun, and love. Once a burnout, over-networked CEO, she is now the global ultra connector for women who thrive in the space where self-worth and net worth align. Hello, Meghann. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to chat with you. So before we dig in, tell everybody a little bit about you and what you do.
Okay, well, dear, I'll just let you know that I was born in Colorado Springs long time ago. It was a snowy, blustery day, just like it is here in Colorado today. So I'll take you step by step through every single minute of my life up to this point. Does that sound good to you, darling?
That's perfect. And your accent is very Colorado.
There is no way. This is not Colorado, dear. This is my Minnesota. Just so you know, this is Margie coming in here to just keep us on our toes, because otherwise it gets kind of boring if we're always just the same person, right? Doesn't it?
It's true. It's true.
So yes, no, I'm not going to take you through my whole life story. That would be
we appreciate that very much.
Yes. So going through my childhood in Colorado Springs was really interesting. And luckily I was able to, I was raised in a really cool neighborhood down there, and my parents were amazing. And I had a really great upbringing, and then went to CU Boulder, found myself in some really interesting corporate jobs for about the first 6 years, where I felt that my life was being sucked out drip by drip. And I was like, how am I going to actually continue to do this for another 40 plus years? I'm really not sure how I'm going to be able to do that. Turns out the way that I was able to do that was to just really embrace my gray area drinking and just, kind of get myself through as a functioning binge drinker after I was in college, and continuing that on, which was not a healthy aspect of my life. And
no, that's not the kind of fun we're talking about today.
No, it's a big reason why I don't drink anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily in 2008, I was laid off from my last job as a marketing director of an architecture firm. And at that time the universe put me right in touch with the right people. And they had suggested I start my own business. So 2009, I've decided at this point that if I can make it through 2009, which I lovingly call about those first 3 years in business, the ramen years, if I can make it through eating, ramen and making no money and not having a clue how the heck to grow a business, and, coming in a space of it's the recession, and oh, by the way, I'm starting out in social media. Nobody knows what social media is. So I learned so much in those first 3 years. And I also knew that I had found my place amongst other entrepreneurs. So for me, it was a very big affirmation of, yes, you're on the right track. And just continue to stay stay the track, let's just say, because it wasn't an easy journey in the beginning. It took me a good 4 to 5 years to cross the $100,000 mark, and then growing my 6-figure business in marketing, and then really shifting and changing lots of times, figuring out where my footing was and what my passion was, which was always helping women-owned businesses grow their 6-figure businesses to 7 figures. And in about 2014, I had been networking all over the place, very inefficiently. I had been a receiver of many business card stab wounds, I love to say, drive-by networkers. I too was a master business card collector, and just found myself consistently trying to find ways of keeping up, but not really doing a very good job of it. So I started getting myself in leadership positions of other networking groups, and ran several chapters of other organizations, and really just started looking at, okay, why is it that so many people have such a bad understanding of and a bad feeling about networking?
Yeah.
And during this period of time, I had joined a women's mastermind, not a women's, but a what do you call it? Mixed sex? What is that word?
Co-ed. A thing where all the people are in a room, and they're like all kinds of people. You know the one.
You know that word. Yes. So a co-ed mastermind group, and was really like, okay, what is going wrong here? Because I'm not achieving what I want to achieve, and I'm certainly not living out my values, and I don't have a mission. And when people ask me the question, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? I say, celebrating the 5th anniversary of you asking me this question, because I hated that question.
Yeah.
And so I just found myself like feeling like a fish out of water, and saying, all right, well, I'm doing things based on what I think the market needs, and based on what I think I need to do, and based on what I think are my strengths, but I certainly don't feel fueled by a lot of this. And that was when I came up with the concept of what was Denver Dames. Wanted to get women together who are running 6- and 7-figure businesses in an environment that was completely different than anything else we have in Denver. So we started having our reverse mullet themed events, which is the party in the front and the inspiration and the connection in the back. We've always had female comedians, improv performers, humor forward speakers that come and entertain us. We connect deeply and authentically because we've let down our hair and we've gotten to laugh. And then we have inspiration from each other and from women running 7-figure businesses to really show us how the way to get there. So fast forward to 2017, I had a complete meditation download of what the Dames would look like internationally. I rebranded to the Dames. We launched our online membership platform, and we started growing in chapters in 2018, 2019, 2020 came. We had already had our online global platform. So we grew 2.5 times that year, and just had members continue to join from all around the world, and have continued to grow such an amazing, magical community of women that are personally and professionally growing together, and realizing that we will only grow as much professionally as we're willing to grow personally, dig deep, do the inner work, and also look at how we can create businesses that not only fuel our lives and put our lives at the forefront, but also create jobs for so many amazing people that enable us to achieve our epic missions, and that allow us to create company cultures that are dynamic and that will fuel the paradigm shift that the Dames is at the forefront of, from a very male ego-driven energy that causes burnout and warrior-like fatigue, to a balanced masculine feminine energy where women embrace our feminine power and our feminine qualities, and we are able to grow businesses that sustain us and that fuel us and that fuel everyone that we employ.
I love that. That gives me chills.
Yes.
And one of the things I really love about the Dames is that the incorporation of fun, which is what we're talking about today. Because I think
Yes.
for so many women and probably people in general, but we're talking about women today, there is a separation between business and fun. There's a separation between networking and fun. It's like, okay, I'm going to go to this networking thing and then I'm going to go do something fun. And
Or
dames,
then I'm going to go jump off a cliff because that was god awful.
if I don't do something fun fast enough to save my
Yes.
sanity.
Yeah.
And so what I love is how you've really incorporated both of those things together and shown people that you can do both at the same time. It's not a waste of time to have fun. You can still be productive and grow your business while you're having fun. So talk a little bit about that in terms of how fun has played a part in your life and in your business transformations.
Yep. So in that same mastermind group, I really took the time to get clear on my top 2 values, my top 5, but at the top 2 has always remained fun and love. And if I don't have both of those things, honey, I'm just not going to keep going.
Yeah.
And it was interesting when I was a marketing coach because I was one of the first to put on my website that I use my intuition, that I am a fun seeker, that I will not tolerate stress and burnout and fatigue and all those things, and that we're going to have fun working together. And there were a lot of times that was tested for me because what I realized as I continued to grow my business was that that model for me, a coaching model, was not fun. It was something that I was deeply entrenched with because I saw the transformation that my clients were going through and that was being created. And when I really sat with myself, I realized that I wasn't having as much fun as I wanted to. I was working way too much, making way too little, and it was not a model for me.
Yeah.
I tried really early on to add additional coaches under me to train them in my methodology. I tried the things that I knew were required to create a scalable, sustainable business, but it wasn't lighting me up. So I had a talk with myself. I sat down and I said, look, Meghann, if you're really going to do this, you're going to have to make some big changes.
Was there coffee involved in this conversation?
There was coffee talks
Okay,
with myself almost daily. It had to happen. It was just part of the whole, equation. And I had to sit down with myself and say, all right, how are we going to incorporate more love, more fun into the business?
Yeah.
And that was part of that whole impetus to start Denver Dames back then. And I watched these other individuals that I would have come into the Dames and entertain for us, having so much fun. And I'm like, gosh, how do they do that? I mean, some of them have a completely different business than what I did. And so, they're making their way by being humor coaches or humor speaking coaches, et cetera. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do, but I want to have fun because I've been a performer my whole life and I want to be able to perform. So how do I perform while I'm in business?
Yeah.
So 2018 was when I started taking improv classes, and I did a year-long program and then met the person that we know and love both, Ron Ben Joseph, who started helping me really integrate my already natural talents of making people laugh with sketch comedy, which I absolutely love, and using my talents and my skills and things that I had learned in improv to really bring that humor to the Dames, and then bring that humor to video, and then bring that humor to external marketing. And that was what really started fueling my fun. Yeah. Because I realized, holy cow, not only can I have fun, really true fun in my business, but I can use it and it magnetizes the right people. Yes. It repels certain people, the certain right people, it repels.
Yes, not a bad thing.
Nope, not at all. But it really does bring me to life, and it brings others to life because I'm being and I'm living my values. And so I started inventing characters and putting that together, and we began integrating sketch comedy into our events, and we started integrating it into, like I said, videos, for promotion, for content creation. And what I've found is that me living in that space of putting fun first and love, I've been able to explain certain concepts that you would not be able to otherwise explain as Meghann Conter, but I can do it very easily as Sylvia, my hardcore woman from the East, who's really, she's got her shit together, and she is not going to she's not going to take anything from anyone, and she's going to show you how it's done. Or good old Nellie, who's she's just got so many years of wisdom, and she can help you really understand, honey, that if you're going to be any good in business or in networking, you better learn how to collaborate. And I can teach these lessons from these different characters so that everyone just embraces everything and brings it in and takes it in. And laughter is really shown to do that in a very different way. When people laugh, the information gets absorbed in a whole new light, and it works really, really well.
Yeah, that's amazing. So we kind of touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but why do you think it's so difficult for women, especially, to incorporate fun into their business?
Because we don't think that it is possible. We think that we have to be very serious. We think that if we're in business, we must be buttoned up at all times. And I think that it's being shown to us. I mean, it's systemic. If you look around, you don't see a lot of people having a lot of fun. And it's funny, like you can see, I have two thoughts that are concurrent here. One is when I started embracing this humor and started coming out in characters dressed up at my events, you can see certain women in the audience with this look on their face of like, oh my God, I can't believe that she's doing this. I can't
what is happening?
Believe that is what she's doing. And just this, like, what that is a reaction of, I could never do that. Either because that was not the way I was raised, or that is not proper for business, or that, all of our beliefs come up. And then there's the others that were like, holy cow, she's having so much fun. I could do that. And then watching them start to incorporate fun in. So it's the things that we tell ourselves based on society, based on our upbringing, based on XYZ, in combination with part of what I think, which is the patriarchy that's created a lot of beliefs in our system of this is how a business is grown. And part of that is this unhealthy, ego-driven energy of work harder, work more, and you'll finally get there at some point. And who cares if you're on your last nerve or your last brain cell or whatever, you just keep trudging along, which is what I used to do, which caused me a whole bunch of slew of issues. So I think that it has mostly to do with everything around us. And once we really dedicate ourselves to getting connected to our own inner voice, intuition, God, pray, whatever it is that you do, and we really realize what is true for us, and fun might not be true for you. Fun might not be something that you really want to integrate into your business. It might not be a value for you. That's great. But make sure that you integrate into your business what is important for you. Yeah. And there's a lot of women, I think, who want more fun, who want more enjoyment, who want more laughter and enthusiasm. And those are the kinds of people that I tend to attract and that tend to want to come into my sphere because they see that I've done it. They see that I'm running a sustainable high 6-figure business, crossing into the 7-figure mark with fun at the forefront. And that I never could do that when I was saying, I've got to be buttoned up and professional. Yeah. I was nowhere close to it.
Yeah. I think we get a lot of messages about, as you were talking, I was thinking of all of these like quote unquote motivational posters that are like, nothing works unless you do. Like, if you want it, work for it. Right. Like there's so much of that. And so we're like, okay, I want it. I'll work for it. Like there's no motivational poster that's like, the more fun you have, the more money you will make. We're going to make that poster. True. We're going to make that poster.
Yep.
And I think we get those messages, but then we also think like, I had an experience once where I have a friend who is a boundaries coach and she's amazing. And she is the goofiest, silliest, most ridiculous. Like I just my cheeks hurt when I'm done hanging out with her because she's so freaking funny. And we were at a networking event once when someone came up to her and told her, if you keep acting like that, no one is ever going to take you seriously in business. And she's a six-figure earner. I mean, clearly people are taking her seriously. And so I also think a lot of women have this idea of like, if I'm fun, if I'm funny, if I like kind of unleash and just let that real me come out, people aren't going to take me seriously. People aren't going to think I'm legit. They're not going to think I know what I'm doing. And that's what I love about you as an example to all of those women. It's like, look at Meghann, like she's talking in a weird voice. I don't know what this wig that she has on is. Like, what the hell is going on right now? And she's crushing it in business.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. And I do think that it has a lot to do with exactly what you said. And I think that it's even more ingrained in our systems than we are admitting. So yeah, we might be afraid that we will get judged as not being professional and people won't do business with us. I think it goes even deeper than that. When you really look at it, and if I've done a ton of deep spiritual growth work in the last 10 years, and I've seen women afraid of a lot worse, afraid of public humiliation, afraid of getting killed, afraid of, I mean, our brains don't know the difference. They perceive fear as reality in many ways. And so there are a lot worse threats that we feel to things, or maybe they had an abusive upbringing, or there are a lot of things that they may have been told as children by other children or their parents or whatever. And so there's a large component of my ability to have fun in business that has to do with the personal growth work that I've done.
Yes.
To face those fears and to really see them for what they are, fears that are not real, and to be, to do the work, to continue to go through those eyes of the needle, to come to the other side and realize that that was all a lie. But so many people, I think women especially, just get they get imprisoned by, or they get put in shackles because of that fear. Yeah. And generationally speaking, I feel extremely grateful to be, an exennial and be someone who was raised by parents who were like, no, you can do whatever you want. You can literally do what you want. But there were a lot of women, especially in, generations before me, who were not raised with that belief. And they have a lot more to overcome than I did, not to mention privilege on top of it. So there's a lot that we have to overcome to get to the point where we believe that our values and our vision and our mission are paramount, and that if we don't put those as our guiding posts right in front of us, we won't achieve it. But when we do, and we continue to push fear aside and go through and change our belief systems and change our behaviors and change our habits and our patterns, we can achieve the things that we really want to achieve.
Yeah, those are such good points. I feel like you just outlined like our next 3 interviews.
Exactly.
We'll have to take that back up again.
Yeah.
So if people who are listening to this want to take some even baby steps towards overcoming some of those fears and starting to incorporate more fun in their business, what are some ways they can do that regardless of what income level they're at? Because I think sometimes we fall into this, like, it's going to be so much fun when I'm making 6 figures. Like, it's hard now, but at 7 figures, it's going to be so fun. So like, what are some things that we can start doing now, even if we are nowhere close to 6 figures, to start having more fun in our business?
Well, the first thing is to demystify what you just said, because it's complete BS. And everyone thinks that. Everyone thinks that, oh, if I just get to 6 figures, oh, if I just get to 7 figures, oh, if I just get to paying myself 6 figures, all of that, that right there is the biggest trap. If I get to this point, then this will happen. The work starts now, no matter what level you're at. And so step 1 is doing the self-growth work. And that looks different for everyone. And I don't think that there's a formula that can be prescribed, because it all is dependent upon you.
Yeah.
The way to figure that out is typically to get quiet and go within. And most of us don't know how to do that because we're programmed to go outside, to hire another coach who's going to tell us the system and to follow the system. Don't do that.
Please don't do that.
If you do anything, hire someone who will help you get tapped into your own intuition, someone who that is their primary mission, is to help you find your own inner authority and start to listen to it right away. And begin that practice, because that takes a lot of untangling of old habits that we've had since we were children. And so once we can really start to create our own beliefs and get connected to what that mission and that vision and those values are. So earlier when I was talking about, hating that question, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years, was because I didn't really have an idea of what my big picture vision was for the world. And I had to clear out of the way big blocks that were in my path. One for me was drinking. And although I wasn't still drinking as much as I was in my college years, I was using alcohol as a numbing agent. I was using it as an excuse. I was using it as, well, everybody else does. And I'm an Enneagram 7 and I have FOMO and all of these things. I'm the life of the party. Everybody knows me as that. If I don't stop drinking, or if I stop drinking, then I won't be that. Oh my gosh, social stigma, blah, 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 all these reasons. But the fact of the matter was, when I sat down in my intuitive contemplation and really looked forward at the future, and I knew this big mission that I have of getting more women to the 7-figure mark without losing out on life. And I kept seeing this ginormous rock in the way, this huge boulder, which was my drinking. And so I had to take a huge risk in my life and remove this thing that was impeding me and that I was tripping over time and time again. And doing that work and going through that eye of the needle was the most important thing for me. So chances are, if we're not living in our values, it's because there's something that we're continuing to do that is, we know we shouldn't do. Maybe it's overeating. Maybe it's an addiction of some kind. Maybe it's addiction to social media. Maybe it's addiction to work. Maybe there's so many different things. Chances are it's something that we're either doing and know we shouldn't, or not doing and know we should. And I don't mean that in an unhealthy should way, not shoulding all over ourselves, but we really just need to remove that thing. And then once we do, and we can see a clear path toward that big picture vision that we have, that's when we can start incorporating the things that we really want to incorporate. And it becomes like little baby steps. So for me, it was joining an improv class, right? And starting to take those. I didn't know when I signed up for that first class if I was going to go past it. And then after I got a little taste of it, then I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the space that I want to be in. This is a space. And that was sort of an unlocking for me. But before that, there were other little things, right? I started a business where you have comedians telling jokes at the beginning of an event with women who are running 6- and 7-figure businesses. Who does that?
Yeah.
So there have always been these little steps that I've taken, and I get more and more courageous as I go through, and I realize people will always judge me, especially as we start to live out whatever it is that we're called to live. You will have people judge you. And if you're not, chances are you're not playing big enough.
Yeah.
And that was hard for me as a FOMO person, as someone who didn't want to miss out on the joy and the fun. But it was also hard for me to take judgment in the beginning. And I had to keep remembering, don't take this personally. Don't take this personally. It's all of their content. It's their own unhealed self. It's okay. You're doing the right thing for you. Keep moving forward. And having a community around me of people that inspired me and that I inspired to help me really see that I was doing the right things. And that's what everyone needs, is to take the time to listen to your inner voice, to really, and continue to do that, because your inner voice will take you in different paths at different times.
Yeah.
And if you look at it as a very linear, well, my brain is telling me this, chances are you're not going to be living in your values very much. You're going to be stressed out and exhausted and overwhelmed. So in my world and in my experience, living in my intuition and listening to it, and no matter how cuckoo or off the wall it seemed at times, the more that I really tapped into that space and I followed that, the easier things became and the more enjoyable they became. And that's how I continue to live. And then as a business owner, being able to have intuition be my guide and use the numbers to be an affirmation, and also really importantly, understanding what my key performance indicators are and what the finances are telling me, allowed me to be a better business owner at the same time as living out my values and my vision.
Yeah. I love that. That's so good. There's so much juicy stuff in this episode for people, no matter where they're at with their relationship and with fun. And I love how you've kind of weaved it in with all of these different topics. Like fun really is related to so many different aspects of business, which is amazing. Yep. So if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to hear more from you, they want to learn more about the Dames, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yes, I would love if anyone wanted to connect with me online. You can find me at Meghann Conter, and you'll have that in the show notes because my name's spelled all funky.
Yep.
And you can also connect with at the Dames CO so that you can connect with us online. And if you are someone who's running a 6 or 7 figure or 8 figure business and you'd love to check out the Dames, you can visit thedames.co/roundtable to come check us out and experience us for yourself.
Awesome. Especially if you want more fun in your life.
Heck yes. Heck yes. And more money, because with more fun comes more money.
All right. You want to take us home with your final accent?
Yeah, you tell me, what do you want?
I don't know. Is there one you haven't done yet?
Bowie, what would you like to talk about, dear? I would love to bring in the French accent because I am really a French woman who is in an American body. I don't know how this happened. It might have been before birth, but it is definitely in my heart.
I love it. So good. We should have started with that one. You just tell me a bedtime story in that one.
Well, darling, we cannot be a couple, just so that you know.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stop the recording and then we can discuss that further.
That sounds delightful.
All right. Thanks so much, Meghann. Thank you so much for listening to the Your Relationship With podcast. If you liked what you heard, we would love for you to subscribe and leave us a review. If you want more information about the Powerful Women Rising community or about our monthly virtual speed networking event, check out the link in the comments. We'll see you next time.